think you're making fully rational choices every day. In reality, your brain has hidden shortcuts, cognitive biases, that quietly shape how you perceive and react to the world. These biases are like optical illusions for the mind. They trick you into seeing patterns or outcomes that aren't really there. For example, in a famous optical illusion, two identical lines look like different lengths. Similarly, your beliefs and decisions can be skewed by invisible mental shortcuts. In this video, we'll explore 10 of these powerful mental shortcuts that are secretly controlling your decisions every day. Before we dive in, here's a quick challenge. How many of these 10 biases do you think you fall for every single day? Keep a number in mind, and let's see if you're right by the end. First up is the confirmation bias. This is the tendency to notice and remember information that confirms your existing beliefs, while ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts them. Imagine you have a strong opinion on a topic. You're likely to click on news articles and join online groups that agree with you, while dismissing opposing viewpoints as wrong or biased. Your mind essentially creates an echo chamber of agreement. Even if strong evidence exists that you're wrong, confirmation bias can make you dismiss it outright or twist it to fit your narrative. Over time, this makes your belief feel unshakable, even if it started from shaky ground. Next is the anchoring bias. Anchoring happens when your mind latches onto the first piece of information it receives as an anchor, giving it too much weight in decisions. For example, picture yourself shopping for a laptop. The first price you see is $1,200. That number becomes your anchor. Later you find a similar laptop for $900. Because of the $1,200 anchor, your brain now thinks $900 is a great deal, even if it's still more than you plan to spend. Similarly, in a salary negotiation, the first number thrown out often frames the whole discussion. In short, any initial figure you hear can skew your judgment of what's reasonable. Knowing about anchoring means catching that first number and asking yourself, does this anchor make sense on its own? The third bias is the availability heuristic. This mental shortcut leads you to judge how likely or common something is by how easily examples come to mind. Dramatic or recent events stick in memory, so you overestimate their probability. For instance, after watching a news story about a shark attack, you might suddenly feel terrified to swim, even though shark attacks are extremely rare. The vivid images from the news make it feel like everyone knows someone who got bitten, when in reality hundreds of mundane incidents like car accidents happen for each shark bite. Thousands of routine car accidents occur daily, but since they rarely make headlines, you might underestimate the true risk of driving. Because frightening events dominate our memories, you might downplay everyday risks like speeding or smoking, risks that are statistically much greater. So far, we've seen confirmation bias, anchoring bias, and the availability heuristic. Quick question: which of these three do you think affects you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see what you think. Fourth on our list is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. This is the puzzling truth that people with low skill in an area often overestimate their ability, while true experts may underestimate theirs. Imagine two friends learning guitar. One has learned just a few chords and already calls himself a rock star. He doesn't yet realize how much he still doesn't know. The other has practiced for years and even teaches others, yet he feels insecure and doesn't think he's that good. The beginner's ignorance breeds overconfidence. He might even challenge a pro to a duel of who's better. Meanwhile, the expert knows the depth of the craft and underplays his skill. The result? Beginners feel on top of the world, experts are humble. The takeaway is to stay humble and curious, ask others for feedback, and realize that if something feels easy for you, it might be because you don't see the hidden complexity. The fifth bias is hindsight bias, often called the I knew it all along effect. This happens after an event has occurred, when you feel like you predicted it perfectly. For example, after a close election, you might firmly claim, I knew that candidate was going to win, even if beforehand you were actually unsure. Or after watching a sports game, you insist you knew the final score before the buzzer. Your brain essentially rewrites the past. It edits your memory so you recall being certain of the outcome, even if before the event you had serious doubts. Hindsight bias makes you overestimate your ability to predict events. The danger is that you feel unduly confident in your foresight. To fight it, Remind yourself that if something was uncertain before it happened, it's normal not to have known the answer in advance. Quick reset. We're halfway through. If you found yourself nodding at any one of these biases, it's because every single human mind, yours, mine, everyone's, is wired this way. The good news is, awareness gives you the power to break free. The sixth bias is the self-serving bias. This one protects your ego by giving you credit for successes and blaming failures on external factors. It's how your mind keeps you feeling good about yourself. For example, if you do well on a test, you might think, I'm smart, or I worked really hard. But if you do poorly, you might blame the teacher or say you were sick. Athletes are famous for this. If a player scores the winning goal, fans call them a legend. But if the team loses because of a missed shot, everyone blames a bad referee or bad luck. This bias helps you feel confident, but it can also prevent you from learning from mistakes or giving credit to others. Noticing this bias means catching yourself when you're too quick to take all the credit. Seventh is the sunk cost fallacy, sometimes called escalation of commitment. This bias kicks in when you continue investing time, money, or effort into something just because you've already invested a lot, even if it's no longer the best choice. Think of a concert ticket you bought. You show up feeling unwell and realize the music isn't great, but you stay the whole time thinking, I already paid for this. Or imagine a business owner who's poured millions into a failing project. Instead of cutting losses, they pour in more money, afraid to admit defeat. The sunk cost fallacy convinces us to stick with a bad decision because we hate feeling like we've wasted what we've already spent. The rational move would be to cut your losses, but our mind says just one more try. Be aware of this bias by asking yourself, if I hadn't already invested in this, would I choose to do it right now? Our eighth bias is the framing effect. Framing happens when the way information is presented influences your choice, even if the underlying facts are the same. Words, context, and perspective shape your decisions. For example, imagine a doctor describing a surgery. If she says 90% of patients survive this procedure, you feel optimistic. If instead she says 10% of patients die during this procedure, you feel terrified, yet it's the exact same statistic. The phrasing changed your reaction. Advertisers and politicians use this trick all the time. For example, a grocery store might label ground beef as 90% lean instead of 10% fat, simply because the first phrasing sounds better, even though it's the same meat. By changing your frame of reference, positive words versus negative words, your perception is manipulated. Recognizing the framing effect means looking beyond the first wording you hear. Here's a quick pause. Out of the 8 biases so far, which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Ninth is the bandwagon effect, the tendency to do or believe things because many other people do or believe the same. This is the classic everyone else is doing it bias. Humans are social creatures, so following the crowd often feels safer or more normal. For example, if you see a long line outside a restaurant, you might assume the food is great and decide to eat there too. On social media, if a video has millions of likes, you're more likely to watch it, not wanting to miss out on what everyone's talking about. In fashion or tech, if a new style or gadget suddenly seems popular, many will join the trend just to feel included. This snowball effect can cause trends and ideas to become self-reinforcing. To combat the bandwagon effect, ask yourself, would I make this choice even if I hadn't seen others do it? Finally, the 10th bias is the negativity bias. This is our tendency to focus more on negative experiences, information, or emotions than on positive ones of the same intensity. You've probably noticed, one harsh criticism can hurt more than a dozen compliments feel good. Or think about the news, stories of crime, disasters, and conflict grab your attention much more than stories of success or peace. Evolutionarily, this makes sense. Early humans who paid more attention to danger and threats had a better chance of surviving. But in today's world, this bias can distort your view of reality, making problems loom larger than they actually are. To balance it, try consciously noticing positive things that happen, not just the negatives. Before we wrap up, quick check. Did you guess how many of these biases secretly shape your daily life? Was it more or less than you expected? These 10 cognitive biases are powerful influences on your thoughts and actions. They act like hidden rules of the mind, helping you process information quickly but sometimes steering you off course. The first step to taking back control is awareness. Now that you know about these biases, you can start spotting them in action. Next time you catch yourself clinging to a first impression, insisting you already knew how an event would turn out, or following the herd without thinking, pause and double-check your reasoning. By questioning your assumptions and examining your thought process, you can overcome these biases and think more clearly. Your mind is remarkable, but it's not a perfect machine. By shining a light on these hidden mental tricks, you gain power over them. If you found this video insightful, consider subscribing to Philosora for more mind-bending psychology and philosophy. Thanks for watching.